Hey guys, welcome back to the Anonymous Throwdown Podcast, Season 2, Episode 2, I guess. Today we're going to be talking about Wonder Woman, Batman, a lot of great stuff. Let's kick it off by talking about Wonder Woman, which is the upcoming game from Monolith. We recently got some leaked information that gave us some more details on the game, and it surprisingly seems to not be a third-person looter-shooter game, but we'll get into all of that.
They decided to mix it up with this one.
Yeah, I'm a little it doesn't even seem like you'll be using assault rifles or anything, which definitely is a change of pace.
Wait, you're kind of wrong there. There was a concept that came out the other month that showed a character with an assault rifle. So be careful what you wish for. You might get some MJ missions here.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Well, let's get into it though. What are your guys' thoughts after hearing a little bit more about what this game is going to actually be? We've gotten some details about it, containing the Nemesis system that we saw from the Middle-earth games. It's going to have the free-flow combat system from the Arkham games. It sounds like a game that's some really interesting character development and lore on Wonder Woman, her allies, her enemies. How are we feeling about this?
Marcel, go ahead.
It's going to be, if everything sounds like it's going to be the way it is, like the free flow combat and all that other stuff, it's going to be a banger 100%. I can't see this game not being good if it has a free flow combat.
Let's recap for the audience, like roughly what the leaks were, like just the high level kind of highlights. It's like free flow combat, open world, Cersei.
Yeah, Nemesis system. Yep.
Nemesis system.
All the villains and all that stuff. You get to maybe fly through Themyscira, so there might be a flying mechanic. It's traversal, which will be really, fun to see. Kind of testing the waters with maybe a Superman mechanic where you're flying around. So that'll be nice to see. And this whole Wonder Woman thing, even if it has like the worst story imaginable, but with knowing Shadow of War and whatnot, they're not that bad of stories. Like I'm playing it now, and the beginning has got me hooked. So I think that they could probably do something a lot more interesting with, of course, the Wonder Woman mythology. So I'm excited to see what they do with the story, especially Cersei, and maybe even bringing in Cheetah and all those other popular Wonder Woman characters and of course villains. I would love to see what they could do with this character now, especially now. I'm more excited, even though there was a leak saying that they might have some type of problems going on with their development. I don't care. I want to fly through the world fighting bad guys with the free flow combat and Wonder Woman. Sounds like a banger. How about you, Kobe?
I agree with all that. I think that after Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, this game is going to feel like a breath of fresh air, like an improvement. It's kind of shaping out to be what we kind of expected, which is basically a Monolith game, a Shadow of War sort of game, reskinned as Wonder Woman, which I think is excellent. I think that will work. And it's also very much so in line with what fans have been asking for over 10 years, which is diversification away from Batman and getting other characters in the fold. And Wonder Woman, I think, is a good start to do that. You could certainly have made the case that maybe Flash or something like this could have been even more highly anticipated. But at the same point, I do think Wonder Woman is going to be very highly anticipated by the fan base and is going to be a welcome addition. So overall, I think everything is shaping up to be what we expected. And not only that, I'm very excited to finally have other developers contributing to the DC Games universe, which of course has been a big problem, that they've been very protective of not letting other developers, even very highly qualified developers like Monolith, coming in and contributing to the DC universe and DC IPs, when in reality their approach should be the exact opposite of what it currently is, which is kind of keeping everything in-house, only keeping it studios that are owned internally by Warner Brothers. In reality, actually, they should have more of the DCEU model, ironically, where they are sending into Elseworld off story games like the Joker movie, for instance, making the equivalent of that in a video game format, and making games that are not connected to Arkham, but of course still building on the Arkham universe. And we saw what happened when they tried to keep everything in the Arkham universe. It didn't really work with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and then with Gotham Knights, same sort of problem with having it. They're not aggressive enough in terms of trying new things, in my opinion. And so this Wonder Woman game is really a step in the right direction of giving some authority to a talented developer And that's the ideal situation for us moving forward. Not to veer too far off of Wonder Woman and to go too big picture with this, but the way it should be is that we should have 5 or 6 studios making DC games at all times, so that every 12 to 18 months we have a new game. And that would just do wonders for this franchise, as opposed to what we had in the past 10 years, which is basically a drought for 8 and then 2 mediocre to poor games back to back over a year or two. That would elucidate all of that if you have Monolith, W Montreal, Rocksteady, and a few other studios brought into the fold. And I think that Monolith and other studios are going to be actually more talented than W Montreal and Rocksteady as well.
I think the only issue right now here is the fact that they haven't shown anything yet. I think we need to see gameplay at this point, because they've just revealed this 3 years ago. Like, I don't even think Gotham Knights was out by then. So they need to hurry up and show something, because that's
we
exactly
did kind of discuss this in the last podcast, and to be fair, that's kind of how every game is marketed these days. To be fair,
yeah,
like it's not a red flag.
I completely get. It's not a red flag at all. No, I'm not saying that. But I feel like if the game is exactly what they're saying it is, or at least those leaks are saying, which they seem to be true, because everybody's getting like copyright claimed on Twitter for the images and stuff like that. If it's exactly what that is, I think they need to be at least a little bit more confident with showing us rather a new CGI trailer, or maybe just some type of quick little snippet of the combat, just something like that to kind of get us a little bit more hyped, instead of going 3 years with nothing. The only thing they've had is one little image on LinkedIn from an employee. That was it. So I feel like that needs to kind of maybe they did this on purpose, right? They're trying to test the waters and see how the fans will react. That'd be cool. But I feel like they need to hurry up and show something, just so people can be a little bit more invested in the product, instead of showing it the last 5 months before release. But yeah, go ahead, Jake. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good. Yeah, the marketing for this one really does need to be on point, because what tends to happen in situations like this is they've had 2 games under this brand now that have just not done well. Gotham Knights got really bad reviews. Suicide Squad got bad reviews and bombed. Nobody bought the game. And to have a Wonder Woman game, despite being very different, you really need some good marketing that's going to show the general consumers who maybe aren't as interested in some of this behind the scenes leaks and stuff that are coming out. The people who are just going to see it show up at Summer Games Fest or the Game Awards or something, the marketing and gameplay that they show off really needs to demonstrate how this game is really going to portray Wonder Woman in an interesting light. And everything that I'm hearing so far really does get me excited. It does feel like kind of the Arkham equivalent for Wonder Woman, and that really does get me interested. But like Marcel mentioned, there have been some talks that there's some development issues going on. So that does concern me a bit. I'm okay with them waiting a while to show trailers. And obviously I want the game to be good, but it is starting to concern me a little bit that now we're hearing rumors that the game is having troubled development. To be fair, I think every game in the last 5 years that has released has had some kind of troubled development. Everything from Spider-Man 2 to Gotham Knights to anything. Suicide Squad, everything has had troubled development. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that, but that does concern me a bit.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see for that one, honestly. But I am excited for the game overall. Like, the things that they're saying, it pumps me up. Like, every time I think about it, I'm just thinking about flying around, landing, and beating up some bad guys as Wonder Woman, and then maybe making an ally, making an enemy, and then I can fly off and do that again. Like, that sounds intriguing to me. And it actually sounds like, honestly, might get a hot take for this, sounds better than Arkham. That sounds so fucking fun. I've always wanted to fly around in a video game and do the free flow combat with an overpowered character. So
I was just going to say exactly that. I completely agree, because when you look at Arkham, Batman is pretty damn OP in Arkham. The way he glides across the whole room 40 meters, especially at Arkham Knight, his range was so freaking ridiculous. How he would just fly from one side of the room to the other. He was like the Flash whenever you would hit square between 2 people. But Wonder Woman's on a whole other level. Obviously, she's OP AF. So she's so freaking OP. And I still remember the first time I played on PlayStation 3 when I played Force Unleashed, the opening mission of Force Unleashed, when you're so freaking OP and you're just throwing people off bridges and you're like just like force pushing everybody, and how fun that was. Like that's how I imagine this game is going to be. Basically, like it's almost going to be like a GTA mod, you know? Like you know how you can mod Superman into GTA and how fun it is to like just murk everybody. And I feel like this game is going to be exactly that, where I want her to feel very, very OP. And like when you're free roaming around, like I don't want it to be even like it's hard to beat bosses, or no, boss fights are different, of course, but like it's hard to beat the NPCs. Like you should just feel so freaking OP. And the other thing I like about it is that this is the first sort of like fantastical sort of DC game that we're getting. You know, everything's been very grounded and gritty with Arkham. Even Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League overall is pretty damn grounded. Yeah, there's Brainiac and things like that, but in terms of the characters we're playing, they're not super OP in the same way that Wonder Woman is. And so I think that's very, very exciting about the gameplay.
Yeah, I think the story is also kind of exciting too, because they could do Arkham type of, you know, combat, make it kind of feel like you're in God of War type of like settings with like a God of War type of story, because the story also has you kind of rekindling a relationship with your mom and your family and your friends. So I think that if they do that right, where you're having Diana kind of like atone for some sins that she's made from leaving the land of women or whatever and then going off into man's world, like that right there also could be really, really good if it's done right. So I do like that aspect too, and that description of kind of doing that with her mom and getting into that type of like lore as well. So again, this game, there's a lot to be excited about. If it's done right, I think it's okay. And like Jake said, like I think Sefton Hill said, every Arkham game was like last minute crafted, and they finally, you know, pulled something out of their ass like the last second for all the Arkham games too. So I could see them doing something really good if it's just like, you know, at release is properly done, and it looks like they're taking their time. So I'm excited. I really want to see this game.
Well, so the really cool thing about Monolith is I love what they've done with the Nemesis system. And it's the mechanic that I do wish Arkham Knight had. And just to give anyone who hasn't played the Middle Earth games an idea of what the gameplay loop is like, you basically have Arkham combat. Melee plays very similar to Arkham. The traversal is more like Assassin's Creed, because in that game you're essentially human. Like there's more to it than that, but we're not going to get into that right now. So
there's somebody in the comments right now be like, actually, you're wrong. Yeah. You're not human. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're totally right. We are going to get that comment. But basically, you traverse pretty much like a human. So you're doing like Assassin's Creed type movement. You have Arkham combat. And then you have kind of an interesting twist on stealth. And that's built a lot around the Nemesis system as well. What you'll do is you'll beat some thugs up, essentially. And then you'll interrogate the last one standing. Learn about like some captain that's out at like a base. And then you'll go there and you'll interrogate someone else, learn this captain has like a weakness to fire. And so then you have to orchestrate an assassination that involves fire. And it's this really cool dynamic way to interact with these enemies. And if for whatever reason this captain escapes the encounter, then they'll go and get like promoted, and then it creates a whole new encounter that you'll have later. So it really creates a lot of end game content. It keeps things going even after the story concludes. So to apply that to a superhero game gets me really interested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't wait to see that too.
Yeah. And like you said, actually, as well, with the story and with the characters and allies, I could really see this succeeding the same way that the Arkham games succeeded, in that, you know, we're going to be on Themyscira. There's going to be so much lore and interesting Easter eggs that we'll get to find. And on top of that, they're bringing in the strengths of the Insomniac Spider-Man games, where there's some really character-driven dynamics. And I'm just really, like you guys, I'm really compelled to see how they pull it off. But I don't know. I'm curious when you guys think we'll get to see this one, because it has been in development for a while, but it does sound like there's some troubled development going on. Do you think this is like a game we see next year, or is this going to be a 2026 full gameplay reveal?
Next year for sure. Or I mean, maybe another trailer next year, but I think 2025 they have to show something. I mean, they're gonna have to release it really soon. I feel like the release date's sooner than we might think. I think even late 2025, early 2026 is possible, But I think an early, 6 month span in between the early months of 2025, we'll see something about this game officially.
Yeah.
Two things that are kind of interesting. One, unrelated to what you just said, but the Nemesis system is actually patented. There's literally a patent for the Nemesis system that WB has filed, which is just kind of funny. The second thing is, with it being a troubled development, I had seen those rumors and I've heard that. But at the same point, what game doesn't have troubled development these days? Even good games. Like The Last of Us 2 famously, they said, oh, the development is troubled. It sold like gangbusters. And sure, like people complain about the story, but it got phenomenal reviews. It was a big success. It made a bunch of money. Like, I feel like every game, even if you ask like a Rockstar dev, hey, how's GTA 6 going? They'd be like, oh my God, it's a freaking nightmare. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like the final product is going to turn out one way or the other either way. But it just, I think games are just so big that the rumor is going to get out on every single game that is this size or bigger that the development is troubled, but that doesn't necessarily mean the game is going to be bad, if that makes sense. I mean, every Call of Duty's development cycle is troubled. I think every GTA game has like, you know what I'm saying? I could be off about that,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really stand out to me as like a big red flag per se.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I'm not necessarily concerned about that on this game in particular. It's just, like you've mentioned, it's an industry trend that I'm noticing where it seems like every game these days takes a decade to develop. And anytime a game gets rushed out a little sooner than that, like Spider-Man 2, then like a month or two after launch, you have the game director sitting down like, dude, we cut half the game. Like we weren't able.
Or it's just so broken like Cyberpunk. I mean, that was an example of like a trouble development that didn't work and you just wasted hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah.
So I guess this is a little unrelated, but my thought on it really is just, are we as consumers getting a little bit too picky about how big the games need to be? And like, because when I think about a Wonder Woman game, I really would prefer quality over quantity. I don't care if it's 80 hours, if 80 hours are mostly grinding. Like, I'd rather have a 20 or 30-hour game that's just really solid all the way around. And I also have to think, like, do I really care if, like, the facial animations are the most cutting edge motion capture ever? Maybe not. It's just interesting things to think about. I think 10 years ago, it was a little bit more varied. You'd have Rocksteady that cared about graphics, but were definitely more tuned into crafting a really compelling gameplay experience. Whereas then you had Naughty Dog that was really trying to push the boundaries of graphics. But now it feels like games are trying to do everything. So you'll have a big open world, but they're also trying to implement just the most cutting edge graphics ever. And they're trying to make the game 80 to 100 hours long. I don't know. Like,
you know what? You know what's a good answer? You know what's a good answer to that? I think the Batman Part 2 is a good example of that because that's not quality over quantity. Technically, they already have two things that are coming out for it, like the Penguin. But the Penguin is kind of like a well-crafted short story of his rise to Gotham after the Batman movie. So it's kind of like that, where in many games, I think most people would wait for a very good product over more products. But like, for example, for the Arkham games, they had a really good balance of both where they could put out two games in 4 years and pretty much all of them are 10 out of 10s. So I mean, like, they could do that.
And the thing is, though, that those
games
were 6 hours long. The stories, to Jake's point, the problem, I think the biggest thing, I don't even know if the graphics is the biggest thing. I mean, it is, of course, like when you have, but it's not necessarily the graphics if it was a 6 or 8 hour game. It's the problem when you want to maintain that same level of graphic fidelity over an 80-hour story.
Yes.
And that's what I think is the huge problem, is that what I think happened is, and what you notice in the gaming industry, and this is just my opinion as somebody that's not an expert in the business of the gaming industry at all, but just a fan of it, is that I think when games come along that are very, very profitable and successful, what happens is all the other developers at the other studios, companies rather, like Warner Brothers and whatever, they all want to get in on that money. And so in 2013, a little game called Grand Theft Auto 5 came out. And that game was super long. I mean, like, especially at that time in 2013. I mean, as we discussed, like the games that were coming out at that time were 6-8 hours long. That was normal for a game to be that long in 2013. And here comes GTA 5. I don't know how. I mean, it was dozens and dozens of hours. It was a freaking beast of a game.
Bro, I got to like halfway through that game, and I was probably like maybe 20 hours into the game. So
Right.
that game was
Yeah,
long
it's
as
like
shit.
it's ridiculous. And
Oh,
so then
Same thing with
I
Red
think
Dead
it was
Redemption
this.
2. Red Dead Redemption 2 is very,
Yep.
very long with a lot of like side paths too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then what I think, I mean, the Last of Us 1, if I recall, was somewhere in the range of 10 hours. And then Last of Us 2 was longer. And so it's just this trend that's happening. And the same was true, by the way. Look at the open world looter, the looter shooter genre and all of that. I mean, there was a couple of games that came along that had that format and were very successful. And then the next 10 years, we as gamers have to suffer with that freaking template that they just keep trying to push down until it doesn't work anymore. And then but the problem is, because games now take 10 years to make, they're behind the curve. So everything is delayed, which is why when it's 2023 and Suicide Squad, or 2024 rather, and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is coming out, we're all like, what the hell? This game should have come out 8 years ago. This fit and the answer is because they started making it 8 years ago. That's why everything is so delayed in terms of the trends, and everybody they're all trying to chase trends. That's what drives me crazy. Is why are they making 80-hour games? Because Grand Theft Auto does it, so let's do that. Why are we making looter shooter games? Fortnite makes money, let's make Fortnite. That's all they're doing, in my opinion. That's my sort of I don't know, pessimistic outlook on what they're doing in the industry, which is basically just trying to like ride trends, in my opinion. But we can talk about the Batman now.
Well, so I do have one more question on that, just for you guys, which is like, what is your expectation in terms of like story length, especially if the Nemesis system is involved? Like, in my estimation, I spent maybe 10 hours on the story in the Middle Earth games, but I spent dozens with the Nemesis system just playing around. Like, what does the scale of this game need to look like in order to meet your expectations? Because personally, like, I play a game like Spider-Man Miles Morales or Resident Evil Village, or I just played Assassin's Creed Mirage, like these games that are coming in a little shorter and a little bit smaller scale. And I'm not walking away disappointed. But at the same point, this is Wonder Woman's debut. Does this one need to feel like a full $70 experience? And what does that look like?
Marcel?
If the Nemesis system if it's as good as it needs to be, if it like does kind of like have really good post-game content, I could see this game. It could probably go for like maybe 10 hours. I wouldn't be that upset if it has a really good open world and you're flying around. And I could see it maybe being about 10, 15 hours long in terms of story. They could probably do a lot with the lore. And then they could also go ahead and move on to like the Nemesis system type of type of quest that you could do throughout the side worlds and whatnot. And that would be a lot of fun too. I think that could probably bring a lot of longevity. I mean, like, for Christ's sake, I'm still playing Spider-Man 2 web swinging, bro. I think I have like 400 hours on that game. I'm not even kidding you. So same thing with like Arkham Knight. I could literally play the challenge maps day in, day out, and just like do that every single day. So I feel like with this game, if the Nemesis system is as good as it sounds, and like all the story content is also like that same type of level, and maybe they bring in some challenge maps, this game could be 10 hours for the story, and all that other side stuff would kind of be an extra bonus for it.
I agree. I think the story is going to be somewhere in the 12-hour range, and I think the open world with all the side missions and things like that will put you closer to 30 to 40 hours. But if it's a little shorter than that, I wouldn't be upset with it at all. I think that an Arkham Knight-sized game would be great.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't think they have too much. I don't think they have too much to prove here. But a good question to you guys is, how much do you think Matt Reeves needs to prove for the Batman sequel? I'm interested.
The best segue. This is so good. He tried to segue us earlier, and then we like brought him back, and then he just tried to segue. He really wants to talk about Batman.
Bro, I did it three times. I can't wait for that damn movie.
Well, I just saw the Penguin trailer. I just saw the Penguin trailer, and I gotta say, it looks about as good as the last movie. It looks really solid.
For real. Yeah.
Okay, can I have a contrarian? Can I please put in a contrarian opinion on the Penguin? I'm gonna get torched. I already know. I'm gonna get.
Fine, I'm gonna roast the fuck out of you right now. Don't worry. Comments. Don't worry about it. I got this. All right.
No, I just agree with you guys know Jester Bell. We've collabed with her. She had a post on YouTube, and I agreed with it, which is that yes, well, my opinion, speaking for myself, I think the show looks good. I agree. I think the show looks good. I'm excited. I'm going to watch the show. However, one thing I'm a little bit annoyed of is why every comic book show has to be this grounded, gritty, like show that looks just like any other kind of show that's not in the comic. Like,
Kobe,
listen. Let me cook. Okay, so
it's
here's the thing.
in the Batman universe.
I know, Marcel, but listen. My thing is that what the DC universe is a very fantastical kind of universe. It's not meant to be very grounded.
You're cutting out again,
Kobe, you
Kobe.
cut out again. Thank God, because I couldn't handle another one of your stupid opinions.
Okay, is that better? Okay, sorry. That should be the last time it cuts out. Listen. Let me finish.
Okay. Go ahead. I think you cut out again.
Okay, I'm back. I'm getting a little annoyed with everything having to be so goddamn realistic and grounded, because the Penguin, he's supposed to be 3 feet and fat and weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just think it's too. Everything has to be
Kobe,
too realistic.
I got a question.
Grounded and too. Oh, this is just. It looks like any other crime thriller television show. Where's the? You know what I'm saying?
He's supposed to be Tony Soprano in the Batman universe. Okay,
I
let me ask you
know,
a question.
but he's not.
If he got his knees capped off, if he got his legs like shot off, like he was Hank Hill's father in King of the Hill from Vietnam, and he's just hopping around, would that make you feel better?
No, because again, now it's just one show, so it's not like okay. I get it. It's the Reeves universe, blah blah blah. But do you understand what I'm saying? That why does every comic book property have to be looking like everything else? It's supposed to be, because what I think they're trying to do, and again, this is my pessimistic view, I think they're just trying to save money on all this shit, and they don't want to have CGI, and they don't want to make it actually look like a comic book. But the comic book, why aren't the comic books coming to life in these shows? They have to make it so grounded and so gritty and realistic. Okay, Jake, back me up.
The Echo Show. Okay. The Echo Show, dude, I'll give it to you. The Echo Show is pretty garbage because of that. If it made it a little bit more fantastical, like the Echo Show, because the Echo character at least is somewhat interesting in the comics. In the show,
you agree with me. Like, I'm glad we're on the same page about this.
No, I agree with you there. Yeah, no, those shows are garbage. But I think the Batman here, this one, is more interesting because they're actually building a gap in between the Batman 1 and 2. So it's like it's a good bridge. It's not like the MCU where every show is basically like that. It's essentially, there's something at least of substance there. And there's also a potential cameo Batman in there too. That would be really fucking awesome if Batman shows up in like some random miniseries. But I'm just saying, you know what I mean? This seems at least somewhat of substance, and I can't wait for it. But Kobe, you have a good point.
I can see both of the points here, and so I'm.
No, you have to pick a side. Pick a side.
So I'm going to. So on one hand, I do really like what the show looks like. I'm with Marcel in the sense that I think it looks like it has a lot of substance. It's going to have some interesting lore for this continuity, this universe. And I was getting kind of excited during the trailer when they're showing the whole Falcone family. It's like, okay, this is interesting. It kind of feels like the Long Halloween. That really is interesting. At the same point, would you be more excited if Batman shows up for like 10 minutes in the final episode of the show? Or would you be more excited if, like, I don't know, Man-Bat showed up and started like freaking just going
exactly. This is what I'm saying. This is all in the Batman comic books. This is look at all the comic books from the 90s that has made Batman as popular as he was with the animated series and the live action movies and everything. It's not freaking grounded, gritty crime family shit. It is all like this. Exactly. It is more that, yes, okay, Long Halloween, sure, that's one. But on the whole, and this is just Batman, who's the most grounded of all the DC characters. What about all these other shows? Why is there no freaking? And I know the answer. It's because, when they try to do it with like Supergirl, it looks terrible with the CGI. But that's exactly my point. Is they're not willing to spend the money to make the show actually look like it's in the DC universe. That's my opinion.
Well, and if it was like if the Reevesverse felt like it was building toward like kind of like the Arkham games, like where you have Arkham Origins and it's a little bit more grounded, and then by Arkham Asylum you're into that more fantastical realm where more supervillains have emerged. That would be fine. I am worried that after like The Brave and the Bold and some of James Gunn's DC stuff is kicked off, James Gunn is going to look at the Batman universe and be like, I don't know, do we really want this competing Batman continuity going up against The Brave and the Bold? I don't know. Like, so then I get concerned that we won't get to see this universe thrive long enough to see more of those fantastical aspects.
Well, but that's the whole point, is that basically it's a very grounded, gritty, realistic take, very similar to the Chris Nolan universe. And this is exactly my point, is when are we going to get a trilogy where it's actually like the Batman comic books, or it's actually like Batman the animated series?
That's where The Brave and the Bold comes in. So that's where
I hope so.
You get the best of both worlds. I feel like James Gunn would have already axed the Batman if he really wanted to do that, because
if it competed too much, that's true.
Yeah, it's already coming out like soon, or like 2 years or something. Like they really want to push that. That's like one of the first DCU movies that's going to come out in the face. So I think that the Batman's safe in many regards. It's kind of like the Joker. Like, are they going to get rid of the Joker if the second movie makes $1 billion?
Well, but even with that, even with the Joker, I want the Joker, to me, the Joker in Brave and the Bold, I want to look more like the comics, where he has like a bright purple suit and he's more like,
absolutely,
you know what I'm saying? Like, but every Joker, even every Joker take is like, oh, what if the Joker was like, you know, this like really, really dark, like serious thing and blah, blah. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like they never actually.
That's why we should keep. I think that's why we should keep the same. That's why we should keep like different universes, because then at least you have people that, you know, want that grounded take, and then they also want the big universe too. And James Gunn, I feel like, is smart enough to do that. Like he's so pushing the Batman. He's like, Matt Reeves could be done whenever he wants to be done. It's his choice to finish the script. So he's, you know, on his side. He's trying to let him do creative stuff. And I genuinely think that this movie is going to be, or at least the whole universe is kind of planned out for him. So I feel like he's already having like some type of ending in mind for this. And I'm sure the Brave and the Bold isn't going to contradict with that, because they're going to have like Damian Wayne, and that right there, already having like Damian Wayne in there is already a push in the weirdest direction, because that means he already had 3 Robins. He already had a Pound Town night with freaking Natalia al Ghul, and then he decided to have a baby with her too. So that right there is already cool as shit, in my opinion. I think that that's a cool step in the right direction. It kind of depends on, me and Jake were talking about this before we got on, how Andy Muschietti kind of like directs the movie, because I like the It Chapter Part 1, but that's about the only movie I liked from him, and he directed The Flash too. So I'm more worried about the Brave and the Bold than I am about the Batman. What are you talking about, Kobe? Shut up.
I like
you. Like Batman v Superman. I know you like The Flash, but that movie's just genuinely garbage, bro.
No, The Flash is really good. Really good.
There were moments of good quality. The writing was decent in some parts, but
it had a very touching personal story to it.
I think in terms of direction, it was a horrible. I mean, I don't know if he was mandated to do certain things, but the way it was done was god awful. There's no other way to say it. And there were scenes of coolness, and all the Batman scenes were cool. So maybe I'm not even going against him either. I'm not even against this Batman movie for him. I still think if he has a good director, if he has a good writer, a good cinematographer, a good, you know, choreographer, everybody, you know, that's on the team is on point, then this could be a really cool movie. But I think that him overall, with his directorial, you know, discography, it's kind of like, I don't really know. I'm worried.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I really liked It Chapter 1. It Chapter 2 is a guilty pleasure for me. His directorial debut was decent. I thought it didn't blow me away, but it was all right. And I wasn't the biggest fan of The Flash either. If they do end up keeping both continuities, if they keep the Batman universe and the Brave and the Bold, which is of course set within the DCU, I do think that will be interesting to see how the mainstream reacts to that a little bit. I feel like with Joker, it's almost a little easier to set that apart as an Elseworld story. But imagine going to see a Batman movie where it's like this grounded, gritty take where you have Rob Pattinson going up against like Hush or something, or Clayface, but like a grounded take on Clayface where it's an actor, not like a clay man. And then the next year you go, and suddenly Batman's in like his 50s and he has a son and they're fighting Deathstroke. Like, is that something that's going to work for the public, or is it going to be like too confusing? Kind of like how half of the Gotham Knights players didn't know it wasn't in the Arkhamverse. Like that, I could see.
I think it works. I think it works because of that, because of like stuff like that, like the Arkhamverse. But I just don't see, like right now, I don't see a lot of audience members getting confused about that type of stuff now because of all the multiverse stuff. People are so used to stupid multiverse stuff that I feel like they just have to explain it like this, like that. So I think that would, like Kobe,
Isn't that kind of
you
why
love
the...
Go
ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
I was about to say you love the Flash. So I'm like, you talk about. I was about to say you like that multiverse stuff.
It's
a
really good movie. Most comic book movies are underrated. I mean, even X-Men Dark Phoenix, for instance, is a really, really good movie. So that's my opinion. But anyway,
okay, but just think about
the Flash is so bad though. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry. It's so bad.
Imagine for a second that The Dark Knight comes out in 2008. And then imagine that Batman versus Superman comes out in 2010. And then The Dark Knight Rises comes out in 2012. Like,
yes,
I don't know.
It makes no sense. Yeah. Everybody would be.
I feel like that's a little bit unfair. That's a little unfair though, because that's back in the day. That's really back in the day. That's like, that's
but
back
Marcel,
before
what is
any,
the most popular...
multiverse was even.
Marcel, what is the most popular franchise for superhero properties ever? It is the Marvel Cinematic
Batman
Universe.
And Spider-Man. Batman and Spider. Yeah,
no,
the Marvel Cinematic.
It's the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is doing exactly what Jake says. Everything. There's one character, one thing. There's not 3 Iron Man. There's not 3 Spider. You know what I'm saying?
But you're missing the point here, because right now there are technically 3 Jokers if the Brave and the Bold does the Joker. You got Barry Keegan's Joker in the Batman universe.
That's the problem. That's what Jake is saying. That's the issue.
How's that a problem?
Is nobody understands what's happening. Nobody.
I think everybody understands that Barry Keegan's Joker. I think people understand that Barry Keegan's Scar Joker with his crusty fingernails and Joaquin Phoenix mental health Joker are completely different Jokers. I think that's a little bit understandable. What are you talking about? They don't tell.
Okay.
Kobe, like, you are insane if you don't believe that.
Take like your mom or your dad, like somebody who's like 50 something, and you ask them, they're like, "Oh yeah, I like Batman. Batman's cool." Or you're like, "Hey, do you watch the Marvel movies?" "Oh yeah, I like Iron Man." Whatever. Like they're they're not on comic book Twitter like we are. They don't know what's going on. They have no clue. They don't know
what's a good point. You know what's a good point? Dwayne Johnson came out. Dwayne Johnson came out one time and he was just like, "Oh man, yeah, Barry Keegan. Oh, I would love to work with Barry Keegan. What they're doing with the Joker there, oh, it's so fantastic."
Exactly.
Dude, you are in the whole different. You are in a whole different universe than this man. What are you talking about? You want to work with Barry
don't
Keegan
know what's going
Joker?
on. Yeah, of course. And dude, even
they have walking. They have
business. And I don't know what movies are canon to the DC. I don't know. Is Black Adam canon? Is it not?
Jared Leto was right there.
I mean, I think James Gunn, like anyone that James Gunn like really likes or is dating, they're canon. But anyone that James Gunn isn't dating isn't canon in the new universe. Like I don't know exactly how that works, but like some of his shows are canon, some of it's not. It's weird.
It's already confusing. See, Peacemaker's already canon somehow.
Yeah. Peacemaker's isn't one canon, even though they encounter the former Justice League.
Exactly.
No, what they're gonna do for season 2 is that they're gonna have David's Superman and like the Robert Pattinson's Batman show up side by side.
Okay, Marcel. So you now agree with Jake and I on this, right? We've convinced you.
No, I don't agree with you because it's not true. Because I can ask my mom and say, "Do you know the Batman Joker? Do you know the Joker from the Joker movie?" And I'm pretty sure, without me trying to explain it to her, she would understand. I understand like very like attentive audience members doing that and not understanding it. But I feel like if you explain it in some different way, if you if you give a label to these movies like Earth 1, Earth 2 or something, just slap it on the freaking poster. I think most people would be like, "Oh, that's an Earth 2 Joker movie or
But
something."
dude,
I
okay,
don't
but
know.
like,
Just do something smart like that.
this is what, but it's just why was the MCU so successful? It's because everything connected together and it built together, and the cameos, and you'd be like, oh my god, there's this person, and so it wouldn't work if everybody was being recast and there was three different of every character played by different actors. It wouldn't make any sense. Everybody would be mind blown, and that's what's going to happen with this universe, which is
This is
why my opinion
this is
all
my
along. Good.
Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead. Keep going.
My opinion all along is they should have just done a clean reboot, and that means, yes, even James Gunn's favorite things and his wife's favorite projects, they get canned too, and it restarts from zero. And I'm not saying, though, necessarily that you cancel the Joker or the Batman. So I'm not saying that that's my proposal. What I am saying is that the Joker and the Batman in those universes, I do want them to continue and to get trilogies, but they do conflict and confuse the audience, and I do think it limits the success of the DC universe to some extent.
Well, and think about this too,
I think.
because
Go ahead,
Warner
Jake.
Brothers does want Joker. Warner Brothers wants Joker in everything. They've put him in literally every Batman thing ever. But if Matt Reeves and Andy Muschietti both want to use Hush, like that, then you're going to start running into conflicting issues there, where the studio is going to be like, well, we can't have Hush showing up in two continuities at the same time right now, played by different actors. And so I could see there being some issues there, but I don't know. I am getting more and more sold as well on Kobe's initial point, which was that the Reevesverse does feel very grounded, which I like. I did like that first movie, but I also liked when they did it in the Nolan trilogy. And I would like to see more of the um, fantastical aspects of the character. Like, do I really want to see Batman taking on the Court of Owls and Hush in a movie? Yeah, I do. But I'd rather see a really good Mr. Freeze adaptation. And so, yeah, I think that they're going to have to be really intentional, especially if they're going to run multiple continuities at the same time.
And even the Joker in
I
the
don't
Matt
know.
Reeves universe, like I'm sorry that where he's so like he's so like depressed, and basically he's kind of like a serial killer kind of like vibe to him, and that's been done many times now. And when Heath Ledger did it, of course, it was amazing because it was very different, where he was like this sort of dark, sadistic sort of character. But the Joker is not a dark and sadistic. Okay, he's sadistic in the sense that he is a psychopath, but he has a very vibrant energy about him, typically in the comics and the animated series, and like every major adaptation of him from 1940 up until now. And so Heath Ledger being an exception to that made it interesting. But now I feel like they're just kind of basically, it's like Heath Ledger, they're just kind of making renditions of Heath Ledger over and over again, when in reality what they should do is just bring the Mark Hamill Joker to life, the guy with the bright purple suit who is carries himself completely differently than the live action Jokers we've seen in the last 2 decades. So
I don't know. I disagree with both of you. Look, honestly, I get your guys' point with like it would be conflicting in some ways, but that's the point of kind of having this type of setup is you release one film and you have it obviously be in a whole different universe. It's not even comparable. And then you have a whole different universe with maybe get a different, obviously they're going to get a different Joker for the DCU. There's going to be a Joker in there eventually. But I mean, like in some way that they do it really determines how the public receives it. If they do it back to back, where it's like 2025 October, we get, well, I don't even think that's going to be true. I think that Batman's coming out October 2026 now. That's actually confirmed or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But that movie, whenever that comes out, if they bring out Brave and the Bold 2 seconds later, like literally the next like 6-7 months or something like that, people will get confused, obviously. But I feel like people are so used to different adaptions and different like interpretations of the character that even when they do, like eventually, of course, they're going to do a Joker 3 if this next movie does $1 billion like the first movie, or like the Batman Part 3. If Matt Reeves has that in mind, they really want to accept that. I feel like they're going to do that no matter what. And I feel like if they do it in a certain way, you can have that grounded version, you can have that fantastical version, and then you can have the grounded version again. And it's we're at a point where the multiverse is a big thing. We literally had a freaking Doctor Strange movie where he went to a different universe, and Patrick Stewart was an X-Men in the universe, dog. I mean, like, the people in it were like, was this the X-Men universe? Are we in the real X-Men universe now? No, they're like, this is an alternate universe. So I feel like if you really make it a difference, people would actually know the difference. I don't know.
I just like I mentioned, where it's like if both directors want to use Hush in the same movie, or like then you have like merchandise questions of like, okay, which action figures do we sell? Do we sell the one of Rob Pattinson or the one with John Hamm or whoever they get to
And the
play?
answer to that is that there is absolutely going to be situations where one director wants to use something and the studio tells them no. This other director called dibs on it first.
Yeah,
sorry,
absolutely.
Keep going.
That always
no, Jake,
happens.
keep going.
That happens all the time, though. I feel like that happens all the time.
And I hope they do it. Like, I hope that they find a way to get it to work. All I'm saying is we're working with Warner Brothers here, you know? I don't know that they're going to do it in a way where it makes a lot of sense. And I hope they pull it off. I really do, because I love what Matt Reeves is doing with the character. At the same point, I think he's bringing us a lot of what we saw with the Nolan films in terms of plot and kind of like, I think the spectacle is higher. I think that the cinematography is definitely very different, and he's bringing a very different vibe to the films. At the same point, he's not bringing us some of the aspects of the storytelling that Nolan didn't really address either. And, you know, whether they do that in the Reevesverse or in the DCU, I would just like to see more of that.
But it might be a hot take. I think he does better than Nolan in every department, especially Batman. I don't think Nolan really got Batman.
That is a hot take for sure.
That is, no, it's 100% a hot
but
take.
I think see what you're saying to some
departments,
extent.
he kind of pushed Batman to the side for the villains.
I think Matt Reeves has already in one film done a better job at exploring the character of the Batman, because even when you look at The Dark Knight, it's an absolutely phenomenal movie, and it does explore who Batman is and his psyche and persona and things like that, but it's very much so, of course, based on the villains, you know, and that really carried the movie. There's no question about that. And so when you look at the first Batman, I mean, even that final 5 minutes of the first Batman movie, there was of the Batman, there's a lot of debate about it, of just like, people were so mad about it. I think people that don't understand Batman, they're like, oh, that whole dialogue, like it was too much like Superman. Like, you know, the voiceover at the end, people are like, Batman's not a hero, he's an anti-hero. But I thought that was so stupid. I think it encapsulates that Matt Reeves really does understand the character, because the ending of it was phenomenal. So I agree with that. What I'm saying, though, too, is that I do think even the way like the Riddler was portrayed, I liked it. But again, I guess I'm just saying I'm a little bit annoyed that every time we bring in a character, especially villain, from the Batman universe, we never really adapt the villain. It's always kind of like a vaguely, like the character has the same name and it's kind of similar, but not really. I mean, even the Riddler in the Batman, he's not really that much like the Riddler. Let's be honest. He's really not.
The only scene, I'll agree with that. The only scene that he's actually the Riddler is the scene where the guy has a neck bomb on and he's like giving off the Riddlers and he's just laughing at him. And he's like, you're getting all these wrong, buddy. Batman's helping you. So I feel like that's like and also a little bit at the ending there, but I feel like doing the more, I'm going to hate to say it, the more autistic version of Riddler, it is a little bit more, it's a twist. I mean, it's a twist of the character that you don't really see coming. And also many things like the Court of Owls, like I feel like Matt Reeves has kind of boxed himself into a corner where he could probably do some of these fantastical things if he really tries and if he really like twists the universe, but he can't do like the Court of Owls. Like that's already done for. The Secret Society in Gotham was the government politicians and all of these Falcone men and all that
That's
stuff.
true.
So he can't
That's
do the
true.
Court of
He did
Owls.
kind of do that.
So
yeah.
How is he going to do that now? How is he going to do like Hush and stuff like that when Batman was like, we don't even really know his childhood pretty much. Like he was pretty much, maybe they could bring something up about Hush, but that would be kind of hard. So all these like fantastical villains that do these fantastical things, it would be really hard for Reeves to already do. And I do think that in many ways he could pull them off, like Mr. Freeze. I feel like that can be possible in the right department, but it's just so hard for him right now.
Well, and to Kobe's point, I mean, did the Riddler not kind of just feel like what Nolan would have done with Riddler? Like it feels like you're saying that like it kind of feels like every villain and every story beat needs to be like twisted in some kind of way and changed. And I mean, they're doing this.
I don't agree with that. I feel like I got to cut you off real quick because I don't think Nolan would have done Riddler like that. I mean, I think he already kind of
would have. It would have been identical, bro.
I don't think it would have been. No, I don't think it would have been because like that's pretty much like the Joker. Like Joker's pretty much like the Riddler at that point. He does video messages. He does like laughing mechanically. Gives Riddler stuff to Batman to make him figure it out. Like that whole scene where he's given the freaking commissioner or whatever. He filled his glass with like acidic acid and then blew up one of the public officials' cars. Like that whole scene was like Riddler. From the Batman, but I don't feel like I don't think it would have been the same. I feel like his villains are a lot more sophisticated. Like Ra's al Ghul, Joker, Bane, they're all much more sophisticated than like the Riddler was. I feel like the Riddler was a lot more manic.
Okay, but the point is though that the Riddler in the Batman movie is not really the Riddler from the comics. It's basically it's the Riddler with a twist, with an asterisk, meaning that he doesn't dress like the Riddler, he doesn't talk like the Riddler, he doesn't look like him. I mean, nothing is really. It's okay. Sure, there are a few scenes, like you said, one or two scenes where you're like, oh yeah, I can kind of see it, but it's not really the same character. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Is it's always just there's always a little asterisk by it. It's never, and even Bane, he doesn't have the venom here. Not the venom, but the sear. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's just. But
you see, that's like saying. I feel like that's saying like Matt Reeves want to do the same thing that Nolan would do. It's just like that's not really the case because Matt Reeves would probably give Bane the venom if he actually did Bane. Like realistically, he would probably give Bane some type of iteration of that.
I don't think so.
But that's the thing.
I don't know.
It would be a type of iteration of it. It wouldn't be venom. It would be like a street drug, which is kind of how Venom starts in the comics. But you wouldn't be getting like Arkham.
Yeah, it would be like this universe's version of fentanyl, and he was like poisoned by it because he was a drug addict when he was a kid.
But, blah, blah, blah. But it's almost like saying that the Catwoman's. It's almost like saying the Catwomans are the same thing. Like you can compare the Catwoman's two of the same or the different universes, and they did something completely, vastly different to the Catwomans in those universes. So I don't know. I feel like he
Catwoman
looked at that Nolan universe.
Of an outlier that actually Catwoman is very accurate in both films, in my opinion, to the comic book Catwoman. But that's a rarity.
She is. We don't really. I don't even know. I feel like the freaking Catwoman in the first movie in the Dark Knight Rises was a pretty like shallow interpretation of that character. You don't really know much about her, and you don't really care much about her either. Like realistically, for the Batman, you actually do. There's some type of merit there. And I feel like, again, like
and there's more setup for her to be in the second and third one too. Whereas in Nolan, they rushed her in the end. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And somehow she's with him in a different state. Like they're off in a different country together. Like that doesn't feel like that was anywhere near what she would be doing. Like, I don't even know the character. She just got here. So what I'm trying to say is that I feel like Reeves is looking at those characters. He's looking at that universe and he's completely trying to flip that. He's not trying to flip it, but he's trying to make it more interesting and more like the comics. I feel like he is trying to make it more comic-like in the visuals, in the characterization, in the way that the characters react to certain things and they actually act. I don't know if Nolan was really caring about the comics when he was making the movie. I feel like Reeves actually would try to pull something like that.
Yeah, no, that's very valid, Marcel, because Nolan wanted to make James Bond movies. And so that's why the Dark Knight trilogy, as good as it is, it's basically Batman reimagined as James Bond. Like it really,
dude, that's look at, like, true. Even the heist in Hong Kong.
You know what, bro? You know what?
Mention it. It's just a James Bond scene. That's so interesting.
That's crazy, bro. You're actually so right. What the heck?
So the Matt Reeves movies do actually feel like he's in Gotham. It doesn't feel like he's in Chicago. You know, it's like actually a legitimate, like, okay, this is a take on Gotham City. Similarly, like the structure does feel more like a Batman story in the sense that it's like, okay, I'm going to go interrogate Penguin. I'm kind of working with Catwoman, don't really know where her allegiances are. Riddler's around here messing stuff up. You know, Falcone is causing issues. And it's like there's a lot going on. It feels hectic. It feels like a lived-in Gotham. And
that's what I mean, though. That's what I mean. I don't think Nolan would have done that with Riddler. I don't think he would have incorporated the characters and the way, and he would have incorporated the Gotham that Reeves would have done, because Reeves incorporated all of Gotham from the very get-go. He incorporated everything, and the mystery of that. I don't know if Nolan would have made a good mystery 100%. He would have made something that would have bursted our minds in half. You know, he makes mysteries and types of like spins all the time and twists all the time. So I still don't understand Tenet. Kobe, if we could get off sometime and like talk about Tenet if you understand that movie, because I don't know what the hell is going on in that movie still. But
I've never seen it because everybody said it makes no sense. So
what? Okay, well, we have to watch it together then sometime. That movie,
well,
and
I want to watch it with someone
other
that can tell me what's happening. You can't do that. Does anybody, anyone in the comments can explain it to me, and then we can watch it? Yeah.
Well, overall, what I'm trying to say is that Nolan would have made a compelling mystery, but I don't think he would have made a Reeves type mystery. And even still, you know, I don't know how we went from the Penguin show to all the way over here, but we made it somehow over here. And the Penguin show, I still feel like, you know, in the grounded nature that's in, it could maybe help set up some type of fantastical stuff. We don't know yet, but still, yeah.
Here's my okay. Can I just give a final point? Because as we were final point on this, and then let's talk about Arkham Shadows for maybe like a little bit, you know, not too long, because we talked about it last time. But I'm flipping right now through Batman Hush, of course, by Jeff Loeb, and I'm just flipping through it.
Okay.
And to me, what's very like, if you flip through it right now, you will see that it really does not look anything like any of the movies at all. Like and I'm not even saying that's bad. And let me also be very, very clear before I get ratioed in the comments, which I probably am going to get. I am not saying I don't like the Batman. I love it. I give it a 9 out of 10. I'm not saying I don't like the Dark Knight. I give that a 10 out of 10. One of the best movies ever made. I am a huge fan of it. I mean, people have seen my room when I started doing my YouTube channel. It is covered in the Dark Knight posters on every side. So I am by no means saying I don't like the Dark Knight. I'm not saying I don't like the Batman. What I am saying, though, is that I'm flipping through Batman Hush, and I want to see this as a movie where there's Poison Ivy and Catwoman and Harley Quinn and Killer Croc and all these characters, and they look exactly like the comics. It's just the comic on the big screen. Yeah. That's what I want to see. I want to see somebody spend $200 million and bring the comic book to life. I do love the adaptations of Batman where we're tweaking the backstory, we're tweaking the villains, we're tweaking the characters that are in it. They're not exactly the same. But I mean, I'm halfway through, spoiler alert for Batman Hush, and then Superman shows up. Like, what the fuck? Like, where's that movie? Where's that? You know what I'm saying? So, and even Batman v Superman, I have the same critique. It doesn't really, I mean, it doesn't even really look like The Dark Knight Returns, truthfully. So, it's a critique that I have across a lot of the movies, even though, again, I do love all of these movies.
Kobe, I have a quick statement. Yeah, I have a great banger statement right here. The closest thing that we've ever gotten to that, and this might even be a hot take, is the DCEU with Zack Snyder's version of the Batman, Superman. I mean, it wasn't really his interpretation, but David Ayer's version of Killer Croc and Katana and all those other characters. The DCEU is the closest we've gotten to actually looking like the actual comic books, but not feeling like the actual comic books. And that's the saddest part. I feel like the DCU, from the set leaks, from of course, at least like the casting and all of the information we've gotten with Superman and all those other movies, I feel like that's going to probably be the most accurate version of the comic books that we've gotten. And of course, since the DCEU, which was the last interpretation that we've gotten, besides the Batman and the Joker. But it is a good point to mention that is something that a lot of fans want to see. They want to see a 12-foot tall Killer Croc. They want to see Poison Ivy use her
exactly
to try to beat up Batman. They want to see all this stuff.
You play through Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, And obviously the structure would have to be different, but I feel like those games actually present very well what a Batman in live action could look like with some of those more fantastical elements. Like,
Exactly.
yes, you think about the Dark Knight, and
I would.
what if they?
I'm sorry. One more thing is Kobe. I'm sorry, Kobe. One more thing too is it does kind of depend on the comic too that you open, because if you open up year one from, of course, fuck, is it Alan Moore? Am I messing up the name? Who the hell wrote that comic?
Frank Miller's year one.
Frank Miller, sorry, that's who I was thinking. Frank Miller. I was just reading the freaking Watchmen. But yeah, that comic, if you open it up, it looks exactly like the Batman. Like that's the city that he was trying to encapsulate into
that's
the
true.
world.
I agree with that.
And then when you And then when you open up, of course, The Dark Knight Returns, that's when you go and see Zack Snyder's interpretation of all those characters. So it kind of does depend. For The Dark Knight,
that's
it's
true.
You can't
The Dark Knight Returns is the only comic book that Zack Snyder's ever read, as I pointed out on Twitter, which he wasn't a huge fan of. He didn't agree with me for some reason, but I did make that point.
Bro, Jay Oliveira, the guy that directed the Dark Knight animated movie, got mad at you, even though you're 100% right, and he never killed anybody in that comic book. He's freaking insane. Whoever thinks that's stupid.
Well, and for having
Go ahead, Jake.
read it as many times as he did, you would think that he actually knew what happened in it. I mean, Zack Snyder claims to have read sometimes. Okay, we interrupted Jake. Let's let Jake finish.
No, all I was gonna say. Well,
sorry, Jake. I love you.
No, you're good. I think that Snyder has the Snyder cut of The Dark Knight Returns. He took a red crayon and. No, so all I was gonna say though, and I think this will transition us into Arkham Shadow, is that you're playing through Arkham City, and Penguin's in that movie, or in that game, sorry. Penguin's in the game, and he has Mr. Freeze being held hostage. You have to break into his museum. Solomon Grundy's there. It's this creepy take on the character that still feels like grounded and dark and disturbing, but it's still fantastical. And I think that all that I'm saying is like, that's what I want to see on screen. Like, I want to see a creepy man-bat mutation where then you have Batman gliding after him in the Gotham sky. Like, that would be so cool. But speaking of that, like, Arkham Shadow, what do we have to talk about that we didn't touch on?
Okay, wait. So here's how I wanted to discuss Arkham Shadow is I have a confession to make.
Yes.
My confession is I have flip-flopped on Arkham Shadow. I am now ecstatic for this game. Not only that, I am buying this headset on day one, and I'm playing the game on day one. And I'm going to be...
Kobe. You faker. You faker.
No. A faker, that would imply that I have not reached this authentically. And I would like to make it clear that this is just, I've reflected and I've thought about it and I read some of the comments. And yes, I agree. Let me still say, I still think that the game should be on console. I do. I think that it should have been a console game. However, I got to thinking about it. And this really is Arkham Origins 2. And you know what? It being in VR, it's kind of cool. I'm excited now. I'm going to buy this headset and I'm going to play the game. And you know what? I'm going to be making content for it. I'm excited for the story. I've flip-flopped. I've come full circle.
Kobe, how much did they pay you? All right. How much did they give you? I know it has to be a hefty check.
I wish if they did, I would have flip-flopped sooner. Shit. They didn't pay me a goddamn dime. Everyone knows that. But I really look, it's a new Arkham game. Marcel, it's a new Arkham game. Come on.
So was Arkham Origins Blackgate. Let's be real here.
Kobe. Hey, Marcel. Kobe, what I want you to do is I want you to record, or I want you to put a stopwatch on every single time you put on that Oculus Rift. And I want you to last as long as you can in that Oculus Rift before you get out. And then when you push that timer, send me the freaking picture of the timer, okay? I want to see how long you last in there before you throw up. You think you want to play a 6-hour Arkham game where you're spinning around, throwing batarangs? Look, I've been thinking about it. There could be some really cool scenes in this Arkham Shadows. Like, for example, let's say you go and confront Rat King. Somebody try to call me out. It's not Rat Catcher. I'm sorry. It's Rat King. They're so fucking different. They control rats. Whoa. I'm sorry. Anyway.
Actually, there's both.
What he
there's
was
Rat
saying,
King and Rat Catcher. There's two separate characters. Anyway, continue. Of course, I would know this because I'm excited for the game, unlike you. Continue.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, nerd. Freaking. Well, actually, motherfucker. Okay. Look. All right. What I'm saying here is that what scenes could be cool is like you go and confront Rat King, and then boom, he sends 1,000 rats at you, and you're in VR, and you're like, oh my god, they're all over me. Or Scarecrow when you're in Scarecrow Land, and like you have to go and traverse Scarecrow Land. That would be pretty cool.
See,
but
you agree.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
You're hyped.
I'm not hyped. Don't say that, Kobe, because I'm not hyped whatsoever for this godforsaken garbage. Look, it's not even garbage. I think it will be interesting. I really hope that it does succeed and it is fun. But the platform that's on, the way that's distributed, the way that you're gonna play it, it's not gonna feel like Arkham. It might be Arkham. And Kobe, why are you trying to get me hyped, bro? Because now I'm thinking about Roger Craig Smith. I'm thinking about Scarecrow. Look, bro, I'm not really that hyped, okay?
What we should do. Okay, what we should do is we'll buy the Vision Pro, and then us three, we can meet in person somewhere.
Kobe, no, stop, Kobe, stop,
and we can play it.
Stop. Because you,
Everyone
Kobe,
can
you
play
called
it,
it
so
the
we don't have
Vision
to buy
Pro,
three
dog.
separate headsets.
It's the freaking MetaQuest 3. Last time you called it the freaking goddamn raft, the whatever the Oculus raft or whatever the freak. People were saying you don't know what you're talking about. It's called the MetaQuest.
Okay, the MetaQuest 3. Yeah, I'm gonna buy it. Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
And so,
Jake, what do you think about
this? This is what we should. No, I'm being, because I think that we all just need to get our hands on it, and we're gonna fall in love. That's what I think.
So here's my thought. I'm going to reiterate a little bit what I said last time, just so that I can, give some context here, which is that I've always been excited about the aspect of this essentially being Arkham Origins 2. I think that the villain choices are interesting. I love that we're bringing back Roger Craig Smith, or whoever Kobe said was voicing him last time. That was funny.
I said a Christian theologian last time.
Yeah. Oh, that killed me. So I'm excited about a lot of aspects about it. I think that there's a lot of potential, and especially, if it does do well, if it catches all of our interest, then the chances of Warner Brothers greenlighting another console-bound game is super high. And then we could get like a legitimate Arkham Origins 2 that feels like a true successor to Arkham Knight. With that being said,
What are you talking about? This is the Arkham Origins trilogy. This is the conclusion of the Arkham Origins franchise. They started with Arkham Origins. They did Arkham Origins Blackgate, and now they're doing Arkham Origins Shadow. This is all part of their plan. They're done with this Arkham franchise after this.
Well, hopefully they give us
true.
Where we get to dual play with the Robins and Batgirl. And there's still a lot that you could do on consoles.
And think about how many things are going to be in this game that we don't even know about. Surprises, plot twists, maybe the Joker's in it. Lord knows WB puts the Joker in everything. I think he's going to be in there. Okay, I'm sorry, Marcel.
Troy Baker's going to be the Joker.
So Jake,
he's going to be the main villain.
Jake, have I convinced you? Are you excited?
So like I was saying, I was already excited about those particular aspects. I was excited about it being an origin sequel with the voice actors, with like Harvey Dent. Like that's all cool. I'm still disappointed in the lack of accessibility for many Arkham fans that will not be able to play this game. I do think that it will be immersive in some cases on a level that the console games can't be. And it will scratch that itch that many of us were disappointed by when Arkham VR in 2016 came out, and you put on the headset and it was like, yeah, this looks cool, but I can't do anything. Now we're going to be gliding around Gotham. We're going to be using some actual combat, some actual stealth. And so to have that promise finally fulfilled in VR is interesting and exciting. I don't know that it's going to scratch the console itch of like wanting to, have an Arkham Knight type experience. But at the same point, that doesn't mean that this experience is going to be bad. So I'm interested in trying it. I don't know that I can afford a MetaQuest 3. We may have to meet up, but yeah.
All right, listen up, guys. Here's the thing.
I'm literally going to play this. I'm going to play this, and then I'm literally going to go straight to Arkham Knight right afterwards.
All right, listen, guys. The MetaQuest 3, or whatever it's called, is the future of gaming. Okay, we need to hop on the train or get
Kobe,
off.
stop.
We need to hop on the
Dude,
train.
who
or
the
get
hell is
off. This the
controlling Kobe?
future. And when you buy this,
I feel
console-
like Invincible versus Omni-Man right now, bro. You should not be acting like this. Who is controlling you?
You know,
No,
actually,
I'm just kidding about the medic. Go ahead.
the biggest issue with Wonder Woman is that it's not in VR.
Oh my, oh my God, bro. The first Superman game that we're going to get in the last like 30 years is going to be freaking VR.
100%. And so,
Oh my
look,
God.
you're either all aboard the hype train or you're off. And once the train leaves the station, you're either on it or you're off. So, I would just, the MetaQuest, what's it called again? What's the system
I'm
called?
not telling you. I'm not telling you this time. You're on your own. You're on your own, dude.
Oculus Rift 3 or whatever.
You're going to create content for the. Are your videos for Batman Arkham Shadow going to be exclusive to VR? Like, you need at least Google Cardboard to watch the videos.
Yeah, that's actually true. I don't know how I'm gonna, but I mean, it's gonna be exciting. So yeah, I think what we should do is we should have an anonymous throwdown meetup, and play through it, and we can take turns and whatnot, and just play through it, and we can even bring Dustin in. I mean, Dustin can even play it, and if we want some negative opinion on it, we can bring Dustin in to shit on it too. It sounds like we already have that covered with Marcel.
There. What are you talking about?
It's like we already covered it with Marcel.
Bro, the game sounds okay. Look. I'm probably gonna enjoy it because, first of all, I'm probably the only one that could actually financially afford the goddamn Oculus Rift 3, whatever Kobe called it.
Wow!
Right? What was it called?
Wow! Shots fired. He just called us out. Jake. Damn.
He did.
Kobe, you come to Phoenix like once a month and you never come over to play with the horses, dog. But you want to come over to play the Oculus Rift, right? I'm sorry, the MetaQuest 3.
Oh yeah, it's Batman. Come on, it's Batman. And you don't let
Well,
you
better,
live
because
you
we're gonna
live
play
a
that,
while
and
away from where I don't have a car when I visit. Anyway, so here's the
that is true. Either way, we're gonna play this and we're gonna love it because honestly, you kind of I'm not gonna lie, you kind of flip flop me too, dude. This game might be the best game of the generation. I think that the future of superhero gaming should just be VR. And honestly, what was I thinking? I think that overall,
hosted by the Oculus Rift, MetaQuest 3, whatever it's called, in the description below. I'm just kidding. Jake, go ahead.
So the thing that this game
I'm not even kidding, by the way.
So seriously, what this game can do well is something that Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate could not. So I just played that game just so I could say that I'm the biggest Arkham fan on the planet. And then I found out that other people have actually completed that game as well. So I'll have to figure out some other way to earn that title. But the biggest issue with that game was it was a side scroller that tried to keep in like the backtracking and exploration mechanics, which is not interesting when you're not like going in with this over the shoulder view with tons of Easter eggs and lore throughout the environment. That's something that can be in Arkham Shadow. They can keep in those Easter eggs and lore and really unique environments. And there's so much interesting narrative potential post Arkham Origins with Harvey Dent and Harley Quinn and some other characters that have been confirmed to be in the game. So narratively, I'm interested. I think that the future for Arkham is bright. Is this the first step that I wanted them to take with it? Not necessarily. I do wish that a console-based game was releasing alongside it, but that doesn't mean that this couldn't be a really solid entry in its own right, and even do some things better than the console games.
Yeah, I'm not like 1,000% negative on the game. I still think that it has things to offer, and if it really does bring a cool Batman experience, maybe more people will actually buy the Oculus. I'm sorry, Jesus Christ, we're gonna start calling it the Oculus Rift 3 now. It's the MetaQuest. Is that not what it's called? Maybe more people will buy the It's called the MetaQuest 3. That's what it is.
Oh.
But I think maybe more people will buy that. I don't really know. But personally, again, the thing that most people want, and I really think that WB, what am I talking about? It's freaking WB. They're not listening to us. Hopefully somebody at WB raises a finger and is like, did you see that most people want this for a console version? And then they'll be like, okay, fine. We'll go ahead and greenlight that at like some random studio that wants to do that. Otherwise, we're screwed. We're not going to get anything. But I mean, I guess this is literally better than nothing. I am excited to see the interaction between, what they do between the villains, and like maybe Alfred's there. You get to explore the Batcave, the Wayne Manor. Who knows? Who knows what they're gonna do?
Absolutely. And I mean, yeah, if it sets up some interesting sequel potential where like we play this game and you have some Scarecrow nightmares in VR and you get to experience the rooftops of Gotham in VR in a more interesting way than we did in 2016. And we get to maybe see the origin of Harley Quinn and how Harleen Quinzel transforms into Harley Quinn. And then it sets up a sequel where Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face and we get to dual play with Robin. And I think that it's interesting. Again,
Ooh, bro, hang on. You know what would be so cool? There's a few VR moments. So you could literally be at like, freaking Haley Circus or whatever it is. You're just sitting in the crowd with like a date,
Yeah.
and then boom, you see the freaking, the tragedy. Or you're in the courtroom and then you see Two-Face get this freaking face splash with acid. That would be pretty cool. You're just like undercover, like in a Long Halloween. That would be pretty. I'm not gonna lie. There are moments where, again, like I said, like the rat catcher. I'm sorry, god damn it, the Rat King scene where you're going up against the Rat King. That would be pretty interesting too. So I think that there are things that they could set up for a potential sequel. And then of course you go into that game with like Two-Face being the main villain, and then you get to play as Rob, or you get to play as Robin, maybe as like an Atreus type of thing where you get to sneak off from the Batcave and go beat Robin. So there are things that can easily be set up for this certain universe, but I don't know. It's still kind of up in the air with how it's executed. If, like Kobe said, they made the Iron Man VR and that wasn't really anything. So we have to wait and see.
Well, but here's the thing that I was looking into, and this is part of my now anticipation, is that the MetaQuest 3 evidently is substantially better than the MetaQuest 2, which Iron Man VR came out for. And so I think the graphics are going to be better. And I think that, really, I think MetaQuest 3 is really something. I think we're all going to be playing on the MetaQuest sooner rather than later. Okay, I'm partially playing a character.
Goggling. He's goggling on that freaking MetaQuest.
I'm kidding about that.
MetaQuest,
I really, no, really, I am actually really excited, and I want to play this now. And you know what? I'm kind of a part-time YouTuber. Maybe it's like a tax write-off somehow to buy this thing. I don't know. But we'll make it work. We'll make it work.
Well, honestly,
wait, Marcel, since Marcel said Jake and I are broke, maybe you can buy it for us. You want to do that?
Yeah.
Dude, of course. Well, maybe. It kind of depends. I might buy it for Jake, but Kobe,
you went from of course
you said that you
have
a burning... Bro, you have a burning passion for it. You could buy it yourself. I'm gonna get it for Jake as like a birthday. Jake, when's your birthday?
You can make it count for birthday and Christmas.
Yeah, we can make it exactly 6 months.
What am I getting?
Kobe, you're so passionate. You love it so much. You're not gonna get anything. You're gonna get Arkham freaking Origins 2 on the VR. That's what you wanted. That's what you're gonna buy for yourself.
Kobe's gonna get.
I'm gonna buy you one of those. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna make you a collab coupon book. It's gonna be like, here's the collabs we can do.
Love that.
Like the chore book that you'd give to your mom on Mother's Day or something.
Kobe, what I'm gonna give you, I got you, dude. I'm gonna get you an Oculus Rift 3, so you can't even play the freaking Arkham VR game.
Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. And I thought my jokes were bad. Anyway, so here's
Joker motherfucker.
Joker quote from The Dark Knight. You missed that. You missed that for a second, but you got it. Okay, so yeah, listen. Arkham Shadow is going to crush. It is going to be elite. And what I think is, my plan is that us three should be the 3 top Arkham Shadows YouTubers. That's what I think. It's time to fucking run this shit back. Arkham is back. That means it's time to fucking run this shit. That's what I think.
I agree. I think that Arkham Shadows will be the top like selling MetaQuest game, like of the MetaQuest 3. Like honestly, because it doesn't seem like there's anything too crazy in it. Like no, it's not rated M for mature like Arkham Knight was. I think it's rated T for teen. So I honestly think like out of all of the games, this probably has the most to offer out of all of them. Just depends on the pricing and, of course, the word of mouth afterwards. But it probably will be the top selling. And if it is, if like they get that like title, then I can absolutely see Arkham kind of making a comeback in certain ways in the console department.
And the thing about it is that evidently it's way better than the other game because than the Iron Man one, which is what made me pessimistic about it because it really didn't look very good. But one, the graphics, but not only that, evidently there's free roam, which Iron Man didn't have. So I think in every way it's going to be, and we have new villains. But in addition to that, we also have the origin story of Harley Quinn. If I recall, we have Jim Gordon and Harvey Dent pre Two-Face, which is super cool. And so, you know, I think we have to wait and see. But
Kobe,
there you have it.
You know what, buddy? You gaslight me into freaking liking this game. I'm excited, man. I can't wait for Arkham.
Dude, it's
Arkham
gonna be
Origins,
fun.
Arkham Shadows, whatever you want.
Here's my trepidation. It's just the logistics of it is what makes it difficult. That's it. It's just how are we going to get the thing? How is it going to work? I mean, the thing is this MetaQuest. It is very. I mean, it's for expensive.
Bro, it's expensive as fuck. It's expensive. Like that's not even like $500. It might be. I keep seeing people like even today. I saw somebody say it's going to be $300 when it comes out for Arkham or whatever. And then somebody said there's going to be like a type of like you could buy like an Arkham version of it. You know what would be really cool is if you have the Oculus things with like Batman ears. That would be cool as shit. But besides that, I think that it would be nice. If I don't know, I've heard that it would be really cool. I don't know if that's a thing. I heard a Batman edition will come with it. But if that's the case, I'm going to buy that version. Either way, I do hope the price kind of goes down from now to October because that's when the game comes out. And if that is the case, then more people will be able to buy this. But right now, bro, $500 is so costly. That's not even funny. Like that's an insane.
There needs
price
to be like a bundle where it's
VR
like $349.99 and you get Arkham Shadows with it. Like you know, like it needs to.
Yeah.
They need to discount it like $150 and give you the game for free. That's what they need to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally agree. Yeah. No, I'm with you guys. I hope that the like more traditional Arkhamverse can come back, and not even necessarily just with Batman. Like, I'd really like to see kind of what they're doing with Wonder Woman applied to Superman or the Flash. I'd like to see more of these characters get some interesting gaming experiences. I am interested to see what they can do on the VR platform. I would like to see more console-bound games as well. And if this does well, I think we've established that there's a precedent set that many companies will then go and make more of like the AAA flat screen games that you play through. So I'm optimistic. I am excited. Yeah, maybe next week if we do this again, we can talk through like some story speculation and kind of what we see the potential future of the Arkhamverse being, especially after Suicide Squad kind of tainted it. But I'm with
Arkham Shadows is going to bring it back.
Yeah.
It's going to bring it back. Everything is going to be every wrong will be right.
We're going to be. We're the Arkham YouTubers now, so we're going to be on top now, okay? Because I mean, Arkham Shadows, it has to bring it back. It feels like it's a bit of a return to form in many ways, but we'll see.
No,
Kobe,
we're back. We're so back. We're so back.
Okay, cool.
That's my main takeaway is we're back. So that's what I wanted to get across with this segment.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you
see you guys next week.
To get your pre-order in for the MetaQuest 3 and so that we can all play. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.